Well, 6:43, welcome back to a Big Fat Fun Friday, and it is going to be a wild ride, folks, so glad you're joining us this morning. Now, most of us have seen, even if we don't know the artist, the famous painting of the Last Supper. In fact, it was Leonardo, I almost said DiCaprio, but it's Da Vinci, who painted it back in 1490. I can't help it, it's Leo, you know. Now, as many folks prepare to celebrate Easter, coming up in a couple of weeks, the St. Paul's Players are once again presenting a performance inspired by the classic work. It's called The Living Last Supper. Joining us this morning, Paula Benson, the director, and Scott Stepp, who many of you probably have seen in local performances around town. You're quite the thespian, if you will.
I don't know about that. Just a journeyman actor.
Very good.
We're
of course,
very glad to have him.
You're playing the part of the role of Judas.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about the actual. Of course, like I said, we all know that the painting of the Last Supper, and the Living Last Supper basically is a series of monologues going through each of the characters and what we think they may have had the conversation with Jesus, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We begin as they gather and come to the upper room, and we have some musical interludes. We have some wonderful musicians working with us, and then each of the disciples take a turn to say, could it be I who is the betrayer? And
right.
Very dramatic and also very meaningful, I think, for a celebration toward Easter.
Now, Scott, you've played Judas, like I said, for the last. This is your third year, right?
Third time, yes.
Okay, third time. Is that the role? Are you going to switch in the future? Or do you,
I doubt so. I'm more of a bad guy in most of my theater exploits. So, and you know, as Paula says, it's a very moving piece,
right.
And it also goes into the mindset of why they would think they would doubt themselves.
Sure.
In betraying. If it is them who betrayed Christ. Sure. And of course, it takes a little bit of liberties because you don't know what their mindset was while all this was going on. I mean, because right. Jesus in his last days was throwing a lot at these 12.
That's right.
And I'm sure their minds were all over the board about what was going on and the actions that he was actually going through that night. So, and it's well written.
It is.
Now, was it written locally, or is this a play that was
brought to us?
Okay.
Our pastor, Tony Matz, brought it to us whenever he came to be pastor at our church.
Right.
And his tradition was to do it every other year at the previous churches where he'd been, and so that's what our tradition has become too. And we're very fortunate. Most of the cast members have been with us since the first time we did it, and they've grown in these parts, and I think it becomes very meaningful to them also as they find their way with the parts and as they show us what they've discovered.
That's great stuff. Thank you so much for coming in. Of course, performance,
free
performance, which is great. Of course, donations, you're welcome to give, but April 3rd through the 5th. There you go. And I'll have all the information up at Midlands Connect, but it is a free show. It's at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, and it's at Bull and Blanding Streets, and we'll get dates and times and all that. Again, free admission, though, which is very cool. A nice way to experience that as well. So, Ms. Paula, Scott, thank you guys for coming in this morning. I know it's early.
Having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks, an endorsement for a candidate not running for president coming up next hour. We're going to tell you